Most of you have probably heard the advice, take magnesium supplements for your muscles. It's marketed as the miracle mineral for strength, for energy, even for sleep. But here's the truth. Supplements are a band-aid, not the cure. You don't need another pill. You need real food. Today, I'm going to talk about one specific food that not only builds muscle, but also protects you from sarcopenia, the age-related muscle wasting that robs millions of their independence. And guess what? It's not exotic, it's not expensive, and it's not hiding in a supplement bottle. It's in your grocery store right now. Forget the hype, forget the pills. Let's talk about what actually works for your body at the cellular level and why this food changes the game. You walk into any pharmacy, any health food store, and you're bombarded. Shelves stacked with bottles, labels screaming at you. Magnesium for energy, magnesium for sleep, magnesium for muscle recovery. And you think, well, I probably need that. I probably don't get enough from food. Maybe that's why I'm tired. Maybe that's why my muscles ache. You reach for the bottle because it feels like the easy fix. One pill, problem solved. Except it's not. Supplements are not the solution. They never have been. And here's why. Magnesium is essential. No question. It's the fourth most abundant mineral in your body, and it's required for over 300 enzymatic reactions. Your muscles, your nerves, your mitochondria, they all depend on it. Without magnesium, your body can't produce ATP, the energy currency that keeps you alive. So yes, you need magnesium, but the question isn't whether you need it. The question is, how should you get it? The supplement industry wants you to believe that popping a pill is equivalent to eating food. But that's just not how the body works. Nutrients do not exist in isolation in nature. In real food, magnesium comes bundled with other minerals, with vitamins, with phytonutrients, with fiber, all of which interact in ways we're only beginning to understand. When you isolate magnesium in a capsule, you strip it of context. You take the orchestra and try to play the symphony with just one instrument. It doesn't work. Let me give you an example. Take leafy greens, spinach, kale, chard. They're rich in magnesium, sure, but they also provide potassium, folate, vitamin K, and antioxidants. Those compounds work together. Vitamin K supports calcium regulation in your bones and muscles. Potassium balances sodium to regulate blood pressure and muscle contraction. Folate helps with DNA repair and cell growth. And the antioxidants? They neutralize the oxidative stress that contributes to muscle breakdown. Magnesium in this food matrix doesn't just sit there, it functions as part of a complex biochemical team. That's what your body expects. Now compare that to a pill. You take your 250 milligrams of magnesium oxide or citrate or glycinate. Does your body absorb it? Some, yes, but not all forms are bioavailable. Magnesium oxide, the cheap one most supplements use, is poorly absorbed, less than 4%. The rest? It stays in your gut and can cause diarrhea. So you're not even getting what you think you're paying for. And even if you do absorb some, what happens next? That magnesium shows up in your bloodstream without the supporting cast, without potassium, without antioxidants, without the cofactors that help your body decide where to put it and how to use it. You end up with a partial tool, not the full toolbox. And here's the kicker. People who rely on supplements often have the worst diets. They think, well, I'm covered. I take my magnesium, my multivitamin, my omega-3 pill. But you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. You can't undo processed food, sugar, refined carbs, and industrial oils with a handful of capsules. The biology doesn't work that way. Supplements can patch a deficiency, but they cannot replicate the power of food to build, repair, and protect your body. Now let's bring this back to muscle. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, is not caused by a lack of magnesium alone. It's multifactorial. It's about protein intake, physical activity, mitochondrial health, inflammation, hormonal balance. Magnesium plays a role, sure, but it's one piece of the puzzle. And when you focus only on the pill, you miss the forest for the trees. You ignore the bigger picture of what your muscles actually need to thrive. What builds muscle? Amino acids, resistance training, adequate calories from nutrient-dense foods, anti-inflammatory compounds to protect muscle tissue from breakdown. Whole foods provide all of this together. Think legumes, nuts, seeds, leafy greens, fatty fish. They give you magnesium and protein, magnesium and omega-3s, magnesium and polyphenols. That synergy is what helps your muscles repair after exercise, what protects them against age-related decline. I'll go even further. Some studies show that people who get magnesium from food, not supplements, have lower risks of cardiovascular disease, better insulin sensitivity, and improved muscle function. Why? Because food delivers magnesium in a way the body recognizes in a nutrient-rich package that supports multiple systems at once. Supplements don't do that. They're linear. One input, one output. Biology is not linear. Biology is networked. And this is exactly where the supplement industry cashes in on confusion. They bank on your fear of aging, fear of weakness, fear of disease, and they sell you an isolated nutrient as if it's the magic bullet. But health doesn't come from a bottle. Health comes from the choices you make 3 times a day, on your plate. So when I say supplements are not the solution, it's not because magnesium isn't important. It is. It's because supplements give you a false sense of security. They trick you into thinking you're doing something powerful for your health, when in reality you're taking the shortcut that doesn't lead to the destination. Real food is the solution. Real food contains the magnesium you need, plus the cofactors that let it work, plus the other nutrients that make your body resilient. Supplements are a crutch. Food is the foundation. If you want to build muscle, if you want to fight sarcopenia, if you want to live not just longer but stronger, you need to look past the pill bottle and start with what's on your fork. That's the truth. The supplement industry doesn't want you to hear, because you can't patent broccoli, you can't trademark spinach, but you can put a shiny label on a magnesium pill and sell it for $20. And too many of us fall for it. So stop looking for the solution in a capsule. It's not there. The solution is in your food, always has been, always will be. When Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food," he wasn't talking about kale smoothies or turmeric lattes. He was making an observation about biology, that the human body is designed to run on real food. And real food doesn't just provide calories, it provides information. It talks to your DNA, it whispers to your mitochondria, it signals your hormones. Food is not fuel, food is code. And when you understand that, you start to see why a plate of spinach and salmon can do more for your muscles than a fistful of supplements ever could. Think about what happens when you eat a whole food. Let's take beans as an example. You're getting magnesium, yes, but you're also getting plant-based protein, soluble fiber, resistant starch, iron, zinc, B vitamins, and phytonutrients. Each one of those compounds plays a role in your health. The protein provides amino acids, the building blocks of muscle. The fiber feeds your gut microbiome, which in turn produces short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation. The resistant starch helps regulate blood sugar, which stabilizes insulin, and insulin is a powerful anabolic hormone that helps muscles take up nutrients. The phytonutrients protect your cells from oxidative damage. All of this is happening at once. That's food as medicine. Now compare that to a pill. A magnesium pill does exactly one thing. It gives you magnesium. But muscle function and muscle growth are not dependent on magnesium alone. They're dependent on the symphony of nutrients and signals that whole food provides. It's not just about adding one molecule. It's about creating an environment where your body can thrive. Here's another way to think about it. When you eat real food, you're not just nourishing your muscles, you're treating the underlying drivers of disease that weaken muscles in the first place. Sarcopenia doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's tied to chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, mitochondrial dysfunction, and hormonal decline. Real food addresses each of these anti-inflammatory compounds in berries, nuts, and olive oil, calm down the immune system. Fiber and polyphenols improve insulin sensitivity. Omega-3s in fish boost mitochondrial efficiency. Adequate protein supports testosterone and growth hormone pathways. That's why food is medicine. It treats the cause, not just the symptom. And the data are clear. Populations that rely on whole, minimally processed foods, think Mediterranean diets, Okinawan diets, traditional plant-heavy diets, have lower rates of sarcopenia even in old age. Their muscles stay stronger longer. Why? Because their diet provides the full nutrient package. They're not living on protein shakes and magnesium supplements. They're living on fish, legumes, vegetables, nuts, and whole grains. Their bodies are constantly bathed in the nutrients that muscles need to repair and rebuild. I want you to notice something here. When we frame food as medicine, we're not just talking prevention, we're talking treatment. If you're already losing muscle, if you're already weak, the right food can still help you regain strength. Protein-rich foods like eggs, chicken, or lentils supply leucine, an amino acid that directly stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Greens like spinach and kale supply nitrates that improve blood flow to muscle tissue, enhancing performance and recovery. Fermented foods feed your microbiome, which in turn lowers inflammation and improves nutrient absorption. These aren't just supportive extras, they're therapeutic. They actively push your biology toward healing. And here's the irony. Modern medicine often dismisses food because it doesn't act like a drug. It doesn't target one pathway. It doesn't hit one receptor. It doesn't produce one predictable effect. But that's exactly why food works. Because your body isn't a machine with a single lever to pull. It's a network. Food engages that network. It multitasks. It addresses multiple systems simultaneously. You can't do that with a pill. You can only do that with real food. Let's bring it back to magnesium for a moment. If you get magnesium from almonds, you're also getting protein, healthy fats, vitamin E, and phytonutrients. That package helps lower oxidative stress, improve lipid profiles, and enhance satiety. If you get magnesium from salmon, you're also getting omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation and improve muscle cell membranes. If you get magnesium from leafy greens, you're also getting nitrates that improve vascular health and oxygen delivery to tissues. In every case, magnesium is part of a package deal, and that package is what your body actually wants. So when I say food is medicine, I'm not being metaphorical, I'm being literal. The compounds in food act like signals. They bind receptors. They change gene expression. They modulate hormones. They turn enzymes on and off. That is exactly what drugs do. The difference is that food does it in a way that's coordinated, balanced, and aligned with human biology. Drugs override pathways. Food restores them. Now, am I saying supplements have no place? No. If you're clinically deficient, a supplement can correct that. But once you're replete, the marginal benefit of a pill is almost zero. The marginal benefit of real food, on the other hand, is exponential. It continues to protect you, to build you, to sustain you, especially when it comes to muscle health, especially when you're fighting sarcopenia. So forget the bottle, look at your plate, ask yourself, does this meal provide the information my muscles need? The protein, the magnesium, the phytonutrients, the anti-inflammatory compounds, the fiber. Because every time you eat, you're either writing good code or bad code into your body. Pills don't write code. Food does. And that's why food is medicine. It's not a slogan. It's not marketing. It's biology. It's the most powerful therapy you have at your disposal 3 times a day, every single day. If you want to build muscle and protect against sarcopenia, the answer isn't at the supplement counter. It's in your kitchen. When you think about aging, most people imagine wrinkles, gray hair, maybe a little forgetfulness, but there's something much more dangerous, much more insidious that creeps up with age, and that's sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the progressive loss of muscle mass and muscle strength. And while it doesn't get the headlines that heart disease or Alzheimer's do, it's just as deadly. Why? Because muscle is the currency of survival. Lose your muscle and you lose your independence. You can't get out of a chair, you can't climb stairs, you can't catch yourself when you trip. Sarcopenia turns a stumble into a broken hip, and a broken hip into a death sentence. Here's the scary part. Sarcopenia doesn't wait until you're 80. It starts as early as your 40s. Every decade after 30, if you're not paying attention, you can lose 3 to 8% of your muscle mass. And by the time you realize it, you're already behind. The good news, you can fight back. And the shield you need is food. Not pills, not powders, real food. Now let's be clear, sarcopenia isn't just about vanity. This isn't about toned arms or six-packs. This is about physiology. Muscle is your largest endocrine organ. It's not just there to move you around. It secretes signaling molecules called myokines, which regulate everything from insulin sensitivity to inflammation to brain health. When you lose muscle, you don't just lose strength, you lose metabolic health. That's why sarcopenia is linked to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dementia, and early death. Muscle protects you in ways most people never realize. So how does food build this anti-sarcopenia shield? Let's start with protein. Your muscles are constantly turning over. Every day you break down muscle proteins and build new ones. That process requires amino acids, and not just any amino acids, but specifically leucine, isoleucine, and valine, the branched-chain amino acids that trigger muscle protein synthesis. You don't get those from a magnesium pill. You get them from eggs, chicken, fish, beans, lentils. If you don't supply enough protein through food, your body can't keep up with the breakdown. The balance tips toward loss. Sarcopenia wins, but protein alone isn't enough. Your muscles also need the right metabolic environment to thrive. That's where anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds come in. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is a key driver of muscle breakdown. It activates pathways that degrade muscle proteins and interferes with the signaling needed to build new ones. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, like salmon, walnuts, and flax seeds, directly reduce inflammation. Polyphenols in berries, tea, and olive oil scavenge free radicals that damage muscle cells. Magnesium-rich greens support mitochondrial function, so your muscles actually have the energy to grow and repair. This is the shield in action, food creating a biochemical environment where muscle can regenerate instead of deteriorate. Let's not forget insulin. Insulin isn't just about blood sugar, it's an anabolic hormone. It helps shuttle amino acids into muscle cells where they're used for repair. But if your diet is full of processed carbs and sugar, you develop insulin resistance. Your muscles stop listening. The result? Not only do you risk diabetes, but your ability to build and maintain muscle goes down. On the other hand, whole foods with fiber, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, keep insulin signaling intact. They smooth out glucose spikes. They feed your microbiome. They preserve insulin sensitivity. That means when you do eat protein, your muscles can actually use it. Now, let's address one myth. A lot of people think exercise alone will save them from sarcopenia. Resistance training is absolutely crucial. Don't get me wrong. Lifting weights tells your muscles, hey, we need you, don't shrink. But if you don't supply the nutrients to support that demand, you're just breaking down tissue without repairing it. Exercise without food is like trying to build a house with no bricks. The stimulus is there, but the materials aren't. Food completes the equation. There's another piece to this shield, and that's mitochondria. These tiny power plants in your cells generate the energy your muscles need to contract. As you age, mitochondrial function declines. That's one reason fatigue sets in faster. But foods rich in antioxidants, omega-3s, and micronutrients can actually protect and even rejuvenate mitochondria. Coenzyme Q10 from fish and meat, polyphenols from dark-colored fruits, magnesium and B vitamins from leafy greens. These compounds support the energy systems that keep your muscles firing, protect the mitochondria, and you protect the muscle. The shield isn't just physical, it's also functional. Strong muscles protect your bones by stabilizing joints and improving balance. They protect your brain by releasing myokines that enhance neuroplasticity. They protect your metabolism by acting as a sink for glucose, lowering your risk of diabetes. Every forkful of real food that builds muscle is also reinforcing these protective systems. That's why I call it an anti-sarcopenia shield, because the benefits go far beyond muscle itself. Now let's step back. Why is this so important today? Because our food environment is actively dismantling this shield. The processed food diet, high in sugar, refined carbs, industrial seed oils, promotes inflammation, insulin resistance, and nutrient deficiencies. It accelerates muscle breakdown while starving your body of the raw materials needed to build it back up. That's why we're seeing sarcopenia, not just in the elderly, but in middle-aged adults. It's not just aging, it's diet-driven. And here's the hopeful part, it's reversible. Studies show that older adults who increase their protein intake, add omega-3s, and eat more fruits and vegetables can rebuild muscle mass and strength, even after years of decline. It's never too late to pick up the shield. Every meal is an opportunity. So what's the takeaway? Sarcopenia is not inevitable. Weakness, frailty, loss of independence, those aren't just the price of getting older. They're the price of neglecting muscle. And the best defense isn't in a supplement bottle. It's in the food you choose. Protein for building blocks, antioxidants for protection, omega-3s for inflammation, fiber for insulin sensitivity, micronutrients for mitochondrial health. Together, they form the shield that keeps your muscles and you strong. Because in the end, aging with dignity isn't about living longer, it's about living stronger. And food is the medicine that makes that possible. One of the biggest mistakes we make in modern nutrition is reductionism. We take something complex, something dynamic, and we boil it down to a single nutrient. We say vitamin C prevents scurvy, so let's take a pill. Magnesium builds muscle, so let's take a pill. Omega-3s fight inflammation, so let's take a pill. That's reductionist thinking. It's neat, it's simple, it's marketable, but it's also wrong, because the body doesn't work that way. Biology is not linear. Biology is synergistic. And if you want to understand why food works and supplements so often fail, you have to understand the power of synergy. Let me put it this way. Food is an orchestra. Each nutrient is an instrument. Magnesium is the cello. Protein is the violin. Omega-3s are the woodwinds. Fiber is the percussion. Alone, they can make a sound, but only together do they make music. Supplements are like trying to play Beethoven's Fifth with a single trumpet. Technically, you've got an instrument, but where's the harmony? Where's the complexity? Where's the effect that stirs the soul? That's the difference between food and a pill. Here's a concrete example. Take magnesium again, since that's our focus. Magnesium doesn't work in isolation. It interacts with calcium to regulate muscle contraction. It interacts with vitamin D to support bone health, which in turn stabilizes muscles. It interacts with B vitamins in energy metabolism. If you flood your body with magnesium from a pill but you're deficient in vitamin D, the system doesn't work. It's like having a key without a lock. But when you get magnesium from food, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, you're also getting calcium, potassium, fiber, folate, and phytonutrients. That's synergy. The body sees that combination and knows what to do with it. Another example, protein and antioxidants. Protein provides the amino acids your muscles need to grow, but the process of breaking down and rebuilding muscle generates oxidative stress without antioxidants. Those free radicals damage muscle tissue and impair recovery. That's why eating salmon, which combines protein with omega-3 ces and antioxidants like astaxanthin, is so powerful. It's not just the protein, it's the whole package. The nutrients support each other, balance each other, enhance each other. That's synergy. And it's not just about nutrients, it's about the matrix they come in. Whole foods contain thousands of bioactive compounds we don't even have names for yet. Polyphenols, flavonoids, carotenoids, alkaloids, they interact in ways we're only beginning to understand. A blueberry isn't just vitamin C and fiber, it's over 600 phytonutrients working together to reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and protect DNA. If you take a vitamin C pill and think you've replicated a blueberry, you're missing the point. You've captured one instrument, but you've lost the orchestra. The food matrix also changes how nutrients are absorbed. Calcium in dairy, for instance, is absorbed more effectively when paired with casein, protein, and lactose. Iron from plants is absorbed better when consumed with vitamin C-rich foods. Fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K require dietary fat for absorption. Supplements ignore these interactions. Food embraces them. That's why nutrients from real food are more bioavailable, more effective, and more protective. This matters deeply when we talk about sarcopenia, because muscle loss is not the result of one missing nutrient. It's the result of multiple systems breaking down at once. Protein metabolism, mitochondrial function, inflammation control, insulin signaling, no single nutrient can address all of that. But whole foods can, because they deliver the synergistic mix that supports each pathway. Protein plus magnesium plus antioxidants plus omega-3s. Together, they create the biochemical environment where muscle can thrive. That's not theory, that's physiology. Let's consider one more angle. The gut microbiome. The trillions of bacteria in your gut are essential for health. They ferment fiber into short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation and support immune function. They regulate hormone production. They influence how efficiently you extract energy and nutrients from food. When you eat real food, you're feeding your microbiome, which in turn supports your muscles and your metabolism. When you take a supplement, you're bypassing that system completely. Magnesium pills don't feed your microbiome, beans do. That's synergy on a microbial level. So why don't we hear about this? Because synergy doesn't sell. You can't patent synergy. You can't bottle it. You can't put it on a shelf with a catchy label. The supplement industry thrives on reductionism because it's simple to market. You need magnesium. Here's magnesium. End of story. But nature doesn't work in headlines. Nature works in networks. And if you ignore the network, you miss the solution. The irony is that modern medicine also falls into this trap. We design drugs to hit one receptor, block one enzyme, fix one pathway, and sometimes that works, especially in acute disease. But for chronic conditions like sarcopenia, diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, conditions that emerge from multiple systems gone awry, the one drug, one target approach falls flat. Food, on the other hand, is multi-targeted by design. It doesn't hit one note, it plays the symphony. This is why cultures that eat traditional diets, rich in whole foods, have lower rates of chronic disease and sarcopenia. It's not because they take magnesium supplements, it's because their meals are synergistic. They combine legumes with grains, vegetables with healthy fats, fish with greens. Every plate is an orchestra. Every bite reinforces multiple pathways at once. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build the shield against aging. So the message here is simple, but it runs counter to everything the supplement industry wants you to believe. Don't chase single nutrients. Don't think you can outsmart biology with a capsule. Respect the synergy of food. Build your meals around diversity, around color, around whole, minimally processed ingredients. Let your body receive nutrients the way evolution designed it to, in combination, in harmony, in context. Because At the end of the day, health is not about one nutrient, it's about the orchestra. And only food plays the music your body is designed to hear. We've talked about why supplements don't cut it, why food is medicine, why real nutrition builds an anti-sarcopenia shield, and why synergy trumps single nutrients. But here's the sticking point. What do you actually do with this information? Because let's be honest, most people already know they should eat better. They've heard eat your vegetables 1,000 times. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is action. How do you take these concepts and turn them into daily habits that protect your muscle, preserve your independence, and extend your health span? That's the actionable health shift we need to talk about. Let's start with perspective. The food industry wants you to believe that health is complicated, that you need apps, trackers, powders, and pills to manage your diet. But the truth is, the principles are simple. Muscle health comes down to 3 questions. Are you getting enough protein? Are you minimizing inflammation? Are you supporting your metabolism? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. If the answer is no, you're on the road to sarcopenia. The shift begins by asking those questions at every meal. Protein first. For decades, the nutrition conversation has revolved around fat versus carbs. That was a false debate. The real issue for aging muscle is protein adequacy. Many older adults eat far too little protein, often under 60 grams per day, when research shows they may need closer to 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight to maintain muscle. That's not a mountain of steak. That's an egg at breakfast, a cup of Greek yogurt, a serving of beans, a piece of fish or chicken. Spread throughout the day, it's achievable. The shift here is simple. Build meals around protein, not carbs. Instead of toast and juice for breakfast, have eggs with vegetables. Instead of a muffin for a snack, have a handful of nuts. Every meal becomes an opportunity to feed your muscles. Next, inflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation accelerates muscle breakdown and blunts the body's ability to rebuild. Processed foods, refined carbs, added sugars, seed oils are the culprits. They trigger inflammatory pathways and oxidative stress. The actionable shift? Crowd them out with anti-inflammatory foods. Swap soda for sparkling water with lemon. Replace chips with hummus and veggies. Trade processed meats for salmon or sardines. Use olive oil instead of corn oil. Every swap you make reduces inflammation and tips the balance back toward muscle preservation. Then, metabolism. Sarcopenia and metabolic syndrome are 2 sides of the same coin. When muscle mass declines, glucose disposal worsens, leading to insulin resistance. And when insulin resistance sets in, muscle building stalls. The actionable shift is to support metabolic health with fiber-rich, minimally processed carbs and healthy fats. Think lentils, quinoa, leafy greens, avocados, nuts. These foods keep blood sugar steady, keep insulin sensitivity high, and keep your muscles primed to respond to protein and exercise. Now let's talk about accessibility. People often say eating healthy is too expensive, but the most powerful muscle protective foods are not caviar or exotic powders. They're beans, eggs, canned fish, seasonal vegetables, frozen berries, affordable, available, versatile. A bag of lentils costs less than a latte and provides dozens of servings of protein, fiber, and magnesium. A dozen eggs provides leucine, vitamin D, choline, muscle-building nutrients for the price of a fast food burger. The shift isn't about spending more, it's about spending differently. Cooking is another barrier. Many people rely on packaged food because they feel they don't have time or skills to cook, but building an anti-sarcopenia plate doesn't require gourmet techniques. It requires basics: a pan, some olive oil, a protein source, and a vegetable. Stir-fry beans with spinach, bake salmon with broccoli, scramble eggs with peppers, done. The actionable shift here is to reclaim your kitchen as your pharmacy, because every time you cook, you're writing the prescription your body needs. Here's another piece that's often overlooked: timing. Muscle protein synthesis is maximized when protein is spread evenly across the day. Most people load up on protein at dinner but skimp at breakfast and lunch. That's like watering a plant once a day and letting it wilt the other 23 hours. The actionable shift. Distribute protein, aim for 25-30 grams per meal. That means yogurt and nuts in the morning, lentil soup at lunch, fish and vegetables at dinner. By spacing it out, you give your muscles a steady stream of building blocks. And let's not forget movement. Food provides the materials, but exercise provides the blueprint. Without resistance training, your body doesn't get the signal to use that protein for muscle. The synergy of food and movement is non-negotiable. The actionable shift is to pair your meals with movement. A walk after dinner to improve insulin sensitivity. Strength training 2 to 3 times a week to stimulate growth. Even bodyweight exercises at home, squats, push-ups, planks, send the message to your muscles. We need you. Stay strong. Finally, mindset. Supplements sell because they promise ease. They require no change, no effort, no discomfort. Food requires intention, and intention feels hard in a world designed for convenience. But here's the truth. The hard way is actually the easy way in the long run. Every time you choose food over a pill, you're not just preventing sarcopenia, you're preventing diabetes, dementia, cardiovascular disease. You're extending your health span. That's the payoff. The actionable shift is reframing effort not as sacrifice but as investment. So here's the summary. Building muscle and beating sarcopenia is not about exotic solutions. It's about daily, accessible shifts. More protein, less processed food, anti-inflammatory swaps, affordable staples, simple cooking, even distribution, movement, intention. You don't need a magnesium supplement. You don't need a pharmacy aisle. You need a plate of real food, consistently, day after day. That's the shift. From passive pill taking to active food making, from isolated nutrients to whole meals, from waiting for disease to show up to building the shield that keeps it at bay. The power is in your hands, on your fork, in your kitchen. That's how you protect your muscles. That's how you kill sarcopenia. That's how you live not just longer but stronger.